Meanwhile, Ukrainian President Zelensky this week saying there's not enough being done by international organizations to help evacuate the millions trying to escape the war zone. Take a look.
Today, the world does not have such tools. The war of the past have prompted our predecessors to create institutions that should protect us from war. But they unfortunately don't work. We see it, you see it, so we need new ones, new institutions, new alliances.
And that brings us to story number 7, American leadership, or lack thereof, during this crisis. For more, we want to welcome in former Arkansas Governor and 2016 presidential candidate Mike Huckabee. Governor, thanks so much for taking some time with us on Newsmax tonight. Aside from those former titles, you're also a humanitarian. We want to start with that. What needs to be done? What further work needs to be done to end this crisis?
Well, I think all the help that we can give to the relief organizations who are already there. Let me give you an example of 2 that are really doing some wonderful work for the people of Ukraine and really the people of the world. Samaritan's Purse. They've set up a field hospital in Lviv. They can do 14 major, 30 minor surgeries per day, 60-bed inpatient hospitals set up in a very dangerous place. These are all volunteer doctors and nurses who are over there, and they're performing major medical functions in right in the middle of some very dangerous places. So Samaritan's Purse, they also have facilities set up in Moldova and Poland and other places. They're doing all they can to get supplies in. Another organization that is doing really an exceptional work is the International Fellowship of Christians and Jews. They're flying in 15 metric tons, a plane load of supplies into Moldova to get into Ukraine. They fly out 170 refugees who are Jewish, getting them to Israel so that they'll be able to make Aliyah or immigrate to Israel and be able to escape the terror that's there. Now, these are people who won't be able to go back to Ukraine. They're going to relocate in Israel, but they're Jewish. They have the right of return. Both of these organizations are absolutely full throttle ahead, doing everything they can. There are others, but those are the 2 with which I'm most familiar and connected to both of them as a volunteer and, quite frankly, a donor. I don't get paid by either of them. I just love what they do and appreciate the reason for which they do it.
Governor, you know what executive leadership looks like. Contrast what we saw from Zelensky's address to Congress this week, if you would, with the leadership we're seeing currently out of the White House.
The big difference is that there is a lack of clarity from the White House. There's been confusion. Are we going to supply the MiG-29s or are we not? Blinken goes publicly and says we are. Then President Biden says, no, we're really not. We have done some things. I don't want to make it as if the United States, and specifically President Biden, has been completely asleep at the wheel. He hasn't. And he has specifically supplied more ammunition and missiles and RPGs that are very, very useful. But I think it's the lack of message, the fact that nobody in the world really knows exactly what America will do. We don't know what the red line is. Is it the hypersonic missiles? Is it a nuclear device? Is it chemical, biological warfare? We don't know because President Biden has never said, this is a line that if it's crossed, then we go all in. So I think that's the biggest issue. Leaders always have to approach this, that leaders never ask others to do what they're unwilling to do. So America can't ask other people to do something if we're not willing to do it. I don't think we're going to put boots on the ground. Don't think we should. But we ought to accelerate all the supplies we can in the same way that we did in Afghanistan back in that 10-year war with the then Soviets, when we supplied the Mujahideen with all of the supplies they needed, including Stinger missiles, to fight the Russians then. It's a very similar situation.
Governor Huckabee, really quickly, if you would, the humanitarian corridor that really is the central thesis of around no-fly zones or limited no-fly zones. Can you speak to that? Are no-fly zones a good idea right now for America?
The biggest problem with them is that most of the Soviet launches of air war is coming from within their own borders. So they're not flying low level over Ukraine. They have the capacity to launch their missiles and bombs from a great distance. So putting a no-fly zone probably isn't as big a deal as maybe it would be to supply the Ukrainians with Patriot missiles, all kinds of defensive mechanisms where they could shoot down the missiles and try to get to the planes that are delivering them.
All right, Governor Huckabee, thank you so much for joining us on Newsmax tonight. Appreciate your time.